In today's video, we are going to be talking about how much we spent in Bali as a couple for a month.
We've broken down all of our expenses in the last 30 days into different categories, from accommodation to transportation and all that stuff. And just a little side note, just because Jasmine and I have been to Bali before, we didn't do all of the activities, all of the things to do in Bali as opposed to as a first-time tourist.
Yeah.
So that's something to keep in mind. And also the other thing is we splurged just a little bit more on accommodations just because we wanted to create content, and it was a little investment for us to create content in these high-end villas.
Yeah.
So that's something to keep in mind, but definitely you could do Bali for
Much more cheaper,
more inexpensive, and obviously you can do it for a little bit more higher. But the point of this video is to just share with you, give you an idea of how much we spent as a couple, and that way you can kind of get a better understanding of how much you would be spending in Bali for a month. Today is actually our last day here in Bali. Had an amazing time here. We thought we'd make this video before we go. But before we get into this video, make sure you subscribe to our channel if you haven't done so yet. Give this video a big thumbs up, and let's get this video going. So as I mentioned before, we've broken down our expenses in different categories, and on my phone is an Excel file that just has the category and all the expenses that we have incurred in the past 30 days. We've inputted all of our expenses on a daily to make sure it's as accurate as possible. So we're going to be constantly looking at my phone just to refer to the expenses for that particular category.
No joke, we counted every single penny, so
to make sure it's accurate. And then we're also going to have a conversion. We're going to have a US dollar conversion, a Canadian dollar conversion, as well as a euro conversion. The currency in Bali, in case you didn't know, is Indonesian rupiah. So we're gonna be mentioning an Indonesian rupiah and then mentioning the conversions as well.
So the first category is accommodation, and like RJ mentioned, we did splurge just a little bit, just a hinge more on it, just because we are content creators, so we did want to create some nice content in these high-end villas and such. So the total cost of this in Indonesian rupiah is 12,729,208 Indonesian rupiah. And in dollars, that would be $802 and 726 euros and 1,094 Canadian dollars.
And our next category is food. I feel like we also splurge a little bit more on food just because we also, had a few date nights.
We did.
You can definitely do food on a budget. That means you're constantly having street food, having nasi gorengs on a daily, maybe 3 times a day, who knows, or 2 times a day. And you can definitely do it on a budget. But yeah, just again, as a little side note, we just splurge a little bit on the food as well, just because, we like going on date nights. And so on food, the total amount is 10,214,956 Indonesian rupiah. And that is roughly around 644 US dollars, 583 euros, or 879 Canadian dollars.
Okay, the next category is transportation, which we did rent out a scooter 99% of the time. Mainly just because it is a lot more cheaper and easier to get around the island and such. The total cost of transportation was 1,990,836 Indonesian rupiah, and that is 126 US dollars, 114 euros, and 172 Canadian dollars.
And the transportation is from, if we were taking a Grab within the city, like Jasmina said, we use the scooter 99% of the time. But there were odd times when we had to return the scooter and we needed to get to a certain spot, certain pickup destination for our next city within Bali.
Yeah.
And so we needed to get there, or it was the shuttle services, the van services from one city to the other. So those are our transportation costs. And next up, the category is activities. Like we said, we didn't spend a lot of money on activities, but we did spend, some activities here and there, like, entering the temples, and then also beaches. So the thing with Bali is that parking fee and beach entrance fees are very, very common, and they may not seem much. They're around between 10,000 to 15,000 Indonesian rupiah, and they're not much, but they do add up, especially if you're constantly going to the beach on a daily. You have to pay. There's no way around it. That's one thing that can definitely tack on to your expenses. And the majority of our activities we've included there is just the beach expense, and like I said, like the temple entry fees. But the entrance fees for temples are, I don't know, I feel like it's fairly standard. It's normal. But beach fees, it's a bit crazy for us.
It is crazy.
But we still paid for it.
Yeah.
So that said, our activities tallies up to 320,000 Indonesian rupiah, and that is $20 US, 19 euros, or 28 Canadian dollars.
The next category is groceries, which is mainly just snacks and things like that.
Yeah, the odd time when Jasmina would cook or whatnot, we ate out 95% of the time, just because it was more convenient and it was more inexpensive. And I think some of our villas had a kitchen, but it was just hard to cook in some of them. It's hard to explain. But the groceries are mainly for snacks, like our daily snacks. If we're gonna go to the beach or go on a trip, or if it's a travel day, then we spend money on snacks.
So the total for this came out 3,063,432 million Indonesian rupiah, which that is 193 US dollars, 174 euros, or 264 Canadian dollars.
Now the next two categories, I have the SIM card as a separate category. I don't know why I did that, but I just did. And then we also have miscellaneous items such as, I don't know, like getting like a crazy glue to repair something, to repair her sandals, or just like a piece of paper or other utilities that we needed. Miscellaneous, we didn't really spend too much on that. We spent about 295,000 Indonesian rupiah, and that is around 18 US dollars, 17 euros, or 25 Canadian dollars. And I'll just move over to the SIM card. We did get a SIM card right at the airport just because the Wi-Fi, for some reason, well, we know why it wasn't working. It's just they just disabled the Wi-Fi in certain spots at the airport, so you can't order Grab. But you don't need to get a SIM card in case you want to get a Grab transportation from the airport, because Grab actually has a lounge area now in the Bali airport. Whether it's international, domestic, they have their lounge areas and a section, where you could connect to Wi-Fi and order Grab if you don't want to take the taxi. And we highly recommend taking the Grab from the airport or going to the airport as well, because it's more inexpensive and it's just more reliable. But the SIM card came to about 250,000 Indonesian rupiah, and that's unlimited gigabytes, and it's only the internet, so there's no texting or voice calling or whatever. It's a tourist SIM card, and like I said, it's 250,000 Indonesian rupiah,
and we got only one.
Only one. Only one. And that is 16 US dollars, 14 euros, or 22 Canadian dollars.
The next category is the scooter. Like I did say, we did use the scooter mainly while traveling within Bali. So the total expense came to 1,120,000 Indonesian rupiah, which that is 71 US dollars, or 64 euros, or 97 Canadian dollars. And then I'm gonna move on to scooter gas, because gas is fairly cheap within Indonesia, so
it's really cheap.
That came to the total of 205,000 Indonesian rupiah, which that is 13 US dollars, 12 euros, or 18 Canadian dollars.
The next category is laundry. I think we did laundry a few times within the 30 days. Actually, maybe 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
I think we kind of did it like once a week, maybe.
Yeah.
Let me just see the input. Yeah, we did it about 4 times in 1 month. So we did it like once a week. And the total for the laundry is 253,000 Indonesian rupiah, and that is 16 US dollars, 15 euros, or 22 Canadian dollars. And so the total amount we spent in everything, and this excludes the flights, by the way.
Yeah.
Just to let you know, the flights getting to Bali and out of Bali. This excludes all of that, including also the visa, the tourist visa, which I think we should, I don't know, editing RJ or Jasmina, put up the tourist visa cost here. But this excludes all of that, and the total amount we spent in Bali is $30,441,432. No.
Dollars.
Not dollars. $30 million is a lot. Let me say that again. 30,441,432 Indonesian rupiah.
Yeah, sounds more reasonable.
And that is roughly around 1,918 US dollars, or 1,735 euros, or 2,618 Canadian dollars. And that's it for today's video. If you found this video helpful, make sure you give it a big thumbs up. Subscribe to our channel if you haven't done so yet, and we'll see you in the next video.
Bye.